Well, is your New Year's resolution to finally overcome your anxiety and introverted tendencies? Well, if so, we have help on the way. Our next guest is a self-proclaimed die-hard introvert who not only is a keynote speaker and successful entrepreneur, but also the author of a new book, Overcoming Awkward, The Introvert's Guide to Networking, Marketing, and Sales. I think so many people could benefit from these tips. Thank you so much for joining us, Monica Parkin, and good morning. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
Yeah, so what prompted you to write this book? Was it your own personal experience? Was it observation?
It was very much my own personal experience. I'm actually a mortgage broker. When I first started into that industry, I thought, perfect job. I can stay home. I can hang out with my dogs, just send some emails. I won't have to interact with people. And then I got into the industry and I found out, oh my goodness, like I have to network. I have to get out there. And I just about quit. You know, I went to my first networking event and I walked into the room, saw those people, turned around, came back and sat in my car. Like I just froze like a deer in the headlights. And I realized that this was an area I needed to work on.
Well, I would imagine that networking is hard, and it's even more so for a die-hard introvert like yourself. So what's your advice for someone who is an introvert but afraid to start connecting and building relationships?
Yeah, one of the things I figured out along the way while I was sort of stumbling through this journey is that introverts still are able to build really good, solid connections. They just don't do them in a giant room full of people. So their strength is this ability to build connections one at a time. When we look at studies about introverts and how they perform in teams and in the workplace, their strength is actually their ability to listen and their ability to problem solve. So the advice would be to actually listen more than you talk, to ask really deep questions and listen deeply. Like, how did you get into your business? What inspires you? You know, ask people real questions and then sit and listen deeply. And that's where those real relationships get formed, rather than feeling this need to just get out there and just start talking about yourself, to actually put yourself to the side and ask deep, meaningful questions.
I'm so glad you mentioned the skill sets of introverts being strong listeners, because we definitely don't want to make people feel like they need to not be an introvert in order to succeed. And that's what your book is all about. Have you gotten any feedback from your readers about something that surprised you?
Yeah, what actually surprised, well, two things. One is from the extroverts who said, I actually bought this book to relate to my introverted friends, and I didn't realize how much I've kind of become an introvert through this pandemic because I haven't been out doing those normal things. And then people that are actually really at the top of their field, really outstanding business leaders saying, I don't want to publicly post that I'm an introvert, but sending me a private message saying I'm actually an introvert. Can I get a copy of the book? But I don't want my boss to know. Like, there's this thing around being an introvert that's perceived as negative, and it's really not. There's really some amazing strengths that come out of it.
And I think too, it's not so black and white. You're not an introvert or an extrovert. You can be so many, I mean, it's a scale, right? You can be anywhere in between those two extreme labels.
Totally. It's a spectrum. And I think it changes through your life. You know, if I look at 20-year-old me compared to me now, I'm a completely different person. I'm still an introvert at my core, but the way I interact with people has very much changed.
Totally. All right. Here's the information for more on Monica Parkin. Where do we get your book?
It's available Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and it just came out this week on Audible for those of you that prefer to listen.
Oh, well, congratulations.